I got this tablet from Lenovo a couple months back directly on their website. It's the Lenovo Smart Tab M10 FHD or Full HD Plus Generation 2. So there's a few different models there. I got this on a really good sale on the Lenovo Canada website. I believe I paid $169 or so Canadian, maybe a little bit less actually. And this is the top spec'd out model that they have. So this is their, I guess, most recent tablet. They have a new one coming out soon. It's more of a media tablet, I would call it, than like a hardcore gaming tablet. I did have an NVIDIA Shield K1 for a few years, but I wasn't really using it anymore because I moved to more like handheld console gaming instead. So I ended up selling it. That one was quite good for gaming, but it had other compromises as well. It was a bit smaller. And I went, probably about a year or so without a tablet. And I realized, it's nice for me to have this just for media consumption primarily, and I guess some light gaming. So there are a few options on the website. This one here is, like I said, it's the highest spec. They all have the same processor. It's not the best processor, but it's fine for what it is. It's a 1920 by 1200 screen resolution. It's IPS with 330 nits. It's quite bright, actually. Even outdoors, it's not super bright, but it's enough that in like full sunlight I can see it and I can watch shows or do whatever on it without too much issue. Obviously 400 or 500 nits is better, but this is fine. It's very crisp, actually, surprisingly crisp. Everything looks wonderful on the tablet because it has that higher resolution. It's a taller tablet too, which is kind of cool. This one here has 4 gigabytes of memory. It does actually have the option you can buy 2 gigabytes, which in my opinion is too little in this in 2021 or beyond. So 4 gigabytes is where I would start. The 2 gigabyte comes with 32 gigabyte of internal storage. You can also get on the 4 gigabyte you can get 64 or 128 gigabytes of internal storage. This one has 128, so the highest you can get. It also does have a micro SD card slot, so I mean, you don't necessarily need to get the highest one. It's just that it was like a few dollars more, so I got it anyways. So why not? But you can use expandable storage. So I actually have a 128 expansion micro SD card in here anyways. The connectivity is fine. I've had no issues with dropouts for like Bluetooth. Never had any issues with that. So that's great. And the reason I brought that up right off the bat is it does come, this one at least comes with the Alexa dock. You can get them without any docks. You can get them with the Alexa dock, and you can get them with the Google Assistant dock. I don't use Google Assistant, and I don't use Alexa. I don't like having those things in my house. It's just not a thing that I would use. However, it is not difficult to actually turn this into just a Bluetooth speaker that disables the Alexa built-in. So I'll cover that in a bit, but at that point it's actually a really good deal. So you get a Bluetooth speaker on top of that. A few things to go over, just like this is just like a user review. So a few things to consider. Netflix on this does not run at HD. It just doesn't. It's missing the signature, I suppose, so it doesn't work. So you can come in here and you can try to run the browser, it won't let you. And then when you actually install the app, which I just deleted to test this, you only get standard definition. So that kind of sucks. But again, this is the way that I set this up. Is I actually have it plugged into this on my kitchen counter most of the time when I'm cooking and chopping up stuff and doing whatever. And this enhances the sound quite a bit. And I'm not standing directly looking at the screen anyways, so standard definition is fine. I don't really care personally. My partner has an iPad which has great resolution, and we typically will watch that closer, and so that matters. If that does matter for you, that might be a deal breaker, I suppose. Crave, I have Crave, it works, full HD, Prime, full HD, things like CTV, full HD, YouTube, full HD. So no problems there. It's just only Netflix that I've had issues with for that. So that's something to consider. If all you use this for is Netflix, it's probably not the right tablet for you. So the tablet itself is actually really quite thin. It's very slick or sleek, whatever you want to call that. It's metal backing. Build quality is great. Zero flex on it. So for the price, it is an incredibly solid feeling tablet for under $200 Canadian. Normally you'd get garbage for that kind of price. So the build quality is superb. It's USB-C charging, which is great. You do get stereo speakers on either side. The speakers suck. They're pretty bad. So that's one of the reasons that I went with the dock. That's the actual dock kind of port. When you sit it on there, it actually charges. And it connects via Bluetooth to the dock. It doesn't connect via that little port thing there. But the build quality is actually superb. Very, very light, but it feels great. Zero flex. I did put a screen protector on it because I always put a screen protector on my devices. Glass screen protector I think was like $10, so cheap. I think it came in a kit of 2, and then one of these like folio cases. You can get these on Amazon, and they're like $10. And these, you know, just protects the device. So I'm gonna put it back in there. But yeah, it's bang for the buck, quite cheap that way. In terms of media consumption, you know, like memory usage and all that kind of stuff, you can have tons of tabs open. It doesn't really stutter in any way that. So it's for, you know, day-to-day like internet browsing. If you're going to be, you know, just kicking around the internet, doing that kind of stuff, it's fine. I've never noticed any issues with that whatsoever. So that's totally cool. You know, you can have lots of tabs open, lots of apps open at the same time, no problems. If you want to, you know, get the best listening experience, you definitely would want to get one of these docks. Basically, how you get this set up, if you just go about it normally, it will require the Alexa dock. There is a couple of YouTube videos online that explain how to do this. You basically pair up your tablet when you first get it to the Alexa dock. It has an Alexa app built in. You pair everything up normally, and then you basically just go through and you just kill all the Alexa. You take away all the permissions from it and you wipe Alexa. And there's 2 different ways. One of the Alexa apps has to stay on here, but you just kill all the permissions. And at that point, you can dock it or you can use it remotely, whatever, and you can just use this as a Bluetooth dock. And this Alexa dock actually has really good speakers. It's quite nice. You know, it has volume built in. You basically, when it's plugged in, you just hit the Bluetooth button. You know, you bring in Bluetooth, turn it on here, connect, and it's done, whether it's docked or not. When it's docked, it actually does charge as well. So, you know, if it's in your like kitchen or something, or, you know, if you're just in the room that you're gonna have it for media, it does. It does actually maintain like charging in that port there, and it's actually quite nice, and you get the audio, and it sets it up at a nice viewing angle as well. So for when I'm cooking or something like that, you get a really good viewing angle. I actually downloaded this PUBG mobile. I don't play PUBG, and I've never played it before, but I wanted to install it because I see a lot of people do, like, I guess, review videos or whatever using this game, because I guess it's like a decent benchmark. And I did kind of just dick around with it for a few minutes, and it runs fine, actually. So, I mean, if that's a thing that you're going to play on this tablet, great. The screen is superb on this tablet. So if you're going to, like, if this is the type of game you're going to play and you want a really nice screen, it looks great, to be honest. The Wi-Fi on this tablet is great. I have no dropouts on at least Wi-Fi 5 gigahertz. No. Okay, so here we are in the game. I'm going to do this with my window open. I have my overhead light off because it reflects really bad. But, you know, I don't want to do this in a dark room because I want to be more realistic. Oh, okay. Unfollow. Okay, so there you go. I'm in the game. I don't know what my settings are at here. Can I open a door? But the ergonomics are actually quite nice for the tablet itself. It's kind of a perfect size. I mean, I guess you'd probably play this game with a controller, a USB or a Bluetooth controller. But the buttons are big enough and the tablet is large enough that, like, this is actually not bad. Okay, so the graphics right now are set to, I guess, smooth. Let's change it to balanced and see if that makes a difference. I don't know what this is going to matter. Okay. So that's balanced, and it's still not laggy. There's a tiny, very fraction of a second every now and then of load-in. I'm assuming that's a loading assets, and that could be you know, more of that could be standard to the game with internet, or it could be I don't know, the tablet itself. I have no idea. Okay, so let's put the settings a little bit higher. HD. Let's do HD. Oh, okay, so this option will be available on your device soon. So I don't know if that's a game thing or if that's, I have no clue. But yeah, apparently it works on balance with medium. PSP runs fine. This is primarily what I use Android tablets for, is emulation. This is why I've kind of gotten away from it a bit, because I have dedicated handhelds that I've been playing emulation with. But I can see huge value in this tablet for emulation. PSP runs fine. So basically, you know, that era or below, you're going to have access to all those games. So you can hear a little bit of like scratchy. It does get quite loud, the tablet, by the way. It just doesn't have the, like, and it doesn't have any bass whatsoever, but it does get loud. So, the game runs fine. There's a little bit of that weird sound issue in this game, but it actually is running fine. I mean, I've played this game countless times in the past. The frame rate is totally normal. There's no drop in frames here. So it can definitely handle the integrated graphics, and the processor can definitely handle even challenging PSP games without issue. DS works amazing. It's not as demanding as a PSP anyways, but the emulation is excellent. Sound is excellent. The Drastic emulator. It's a paid emulator, but I think it was $1. I bought this years ago. Now I just play DS on my 3DS, but I mean, this is such an excellent way. In some ways, it's even better than using like a 3DS because this is a huge screen right here. So you're getting a really big screen, and there's no division between the top and bottom screen. There's just like a line there, so it's actually quite beautiful to play on an Android device, especially something of this size, versus even the actual authentic device because there's a big bezel there. So it runs like actually flawlessly. Look at that. Sound amazing. This is a really good. I mean, some of that is due to the emulator itself. It's a really, really good emulator. Okay, so here we finally are in the game. To my eyes and to the camera, it is absolutely perfect. It looks beautiful. The colors are super rich on this tablet because it has such an amazing screen, obviously. But yeah, the emulation is perfect. Sound is perfect. There's no kind of dropout. Mario 64 isn't the most challenging game anyways to emulate. I did a little bit of a video recently on the PS Vita, and it's one of the games that actually runs the best on there. You're not going to be able to play PS3 games and stuff on here, and I don't think we would run that well. But N64 era, why not? So you can see here, it's probably hard to always tell on camera, but there's no frame rate drop. The analog stick is just awful in this mode. So again, you'd probably want, if you're playing like RPGs, you could definitely use the touchscreen. If you're playing games like this, like more arcadey games, you'd probably want to get a Bluetooth controller to really play them. Here we are in some Sega Saturn, which from what I understand, is more challenging to emulate than PS1. And we'll do some Panzer Dragoon. Again, you're better off getting you can play like this, but you're better off getting a Bluetooth controller in my opinion. And like I said, with the Alexa dock, it's kind of ideal. I've actually never played Panzer Dragoon before. Ooh. But yeah, you can see here, I don't know if you've ever played this game before, but from what I've seen, this emulation seems to be perfect. I apparently suck at this game. I'm doing inverted. Yeah, it's still inverted. Okay, it's weird though. Yeah, so the emulation is perfect. Processor is able to keep up, graphics, whatever, no problems. So, Sega Saturn works fine. So, I've played this game dozens of times in the past, and being stuck to watch the intro every time I start it new is just painful. Absolutely painful. Any developer in the future who sets up non-skippable intros needs to just look in the mirror and feel shame. Okay, so here we go. Back in the game. And you can see it's pretty bad. Again, this is Gamecube, so this is, on Gamecube and PS2 are generally on par. I think that Gamecube is actually a little bit more powerful, but and this is kind of to be expected. It's just not a super powerful processor, and Gamecube is not the easiest thing to emulate on a tablet. If you have a desktop, it's going to be easier. So this could be a relic of the actual game itself. It could be a relic of the emulator itself, or it could be an outcome from, the processor itself. There are other emulators out there. Dolphin, has been around forever, but I've read that it's not the best emulator anymore. But that's something to consider if you're using that emulator. There are ones you can buy, but I don't want to buy them. Okay, so that was just some basic gaming. Emulation is kind of more what I would do on this tablet, but you can certainly. PUBG was running. These other games all run fine, so you could certainly use it for gaming. There's probably some games that can't handle some brand new ones. It's not the most powerful processor, but it's capable enough. Totally fine. Screen is beautiful. The device is premium. The only negative of this entire tablet, honestly, especially at that price point, is the Netflix doesn't come in HD. That's the only thing. Everything else is great, and it's a killer deal all around. There are a few things you might want to consider doing. You can go in here and you can enable developer options, and you can disable some of the just junk. It does come with a very stock version of Android. There's very little bloatware on here. It comes with Alexa, obviously, it's part of it. But other than that, there's not a lot of junk on here. So that's really nice to just not have a bloated Android experience. That alone is half worth it. But you can come in here and you can enable developer settings, developer options, and there's a lot of things you can change in here. I've disabled some just garbage in here that I don't like. Disable a lot of the background processes, so it's not running a bunch of different things in the background at the same time. And I find on any Android tablet that helps quite a bit. It has enough RAM. It looks like I'm on average using around 1.8 if I'm using games and stuff. So I'm not using the RAM anyways, the memory anyways. But it's good to disable all the background stuff. And I did notice once I did that, I disabled all the background processing, so it's more dedicated. It became very snappy. Overall, I would not pay the full price for this tablet. Let's see here, $229 American. With the Bluetooth dock on the Lenovo website, and around $300 Canadian for that same price. It's okay at that price, not a big deal. But personally, if you can get it on sale, even 200 Canadian or I guess 170-ish American around there, or 160 American, it's a killer deal, to be honest. What it is with the Bluetooth speaker, once you change it up, the screen quality and that for media consumption, it's great. For emulation and that kind of thing, it's quite nice. Don't expect to go anything really above N64 PS1, which is and as a result, you still have thousands and thousands of games you can play, and it has such a beautiful screen. The N64 ran flawlessly, PSP runs great, DS runs great. So it just looks amazing. Very, very nice build quality, and the actual screen is beautiful. So when you're doing things like emulation, it's it feels really nice to actually play games on it, to be honest. So yeah, that's a kind of just a user takeaway. Not as super technical as some of the other ones, and it's more of I guess a little bit more gamer focused than some of the other videos I've seen online. That's kind of why I want to do this, because that's what I do. I don't just watch Netflix, I play games. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you found it useful.